Good morning, everybody. Dr. Guldal here. It's such a pleasure to be a part of this organization, a part of this day, November 1st, 2022, full moons this month, Mercury retrograde, elections in 2 days. We're standing, in a chaotic time, and we're gathered here today to find our center and be uplifted with whatever the divine has to say. So let's start with opening the four directions, and we'll go from there. So go ahead and close your eyes as I invoke the spirit guides of the north to hold our consciousness clear, to allow the divinity to come through in purity. I invoke the spirit guides of the north to hold us solid like the roots of a great tree as we hear the wisdom that comes in from divine source and Father Sky. I invoke spirit guides of the east to keep our physical bodies strong, healthy, and may the worries and the stressors and the toxins of the environment move right through us and not bring in decay and disease. And we invoke the spirit guides of the west to keep our heart pure, our intentions pure, our love open, comfort, support for ourselves, our family, our loved ones, and for the world. And the center of this medicine wheel, may we stand with Ganesha's strength as all obstacles are removed, as we are protected in this space, our families, our greater families in the greater world. And may we hold this place over this coming week, regardless of how we feel about results. Our goal is to be light, a lightning rod of light, so that we can be a part of the change, regardless of how that change comes about. Amen. Well, I can tell you this today, more and more, when it's time for me to do a talk, the divine has been kicking me out sooner and sooner. It used to be I would have at least a little outline in my head, and I'd come in case, the divine left or I brought my thought in. But lately, more and more, we're at a blank. So we know the topic's title, and a quote came to me 3 times in 1 hour yesterday from 3 different sources. So I think we're going to start there, and we'll talk about new season, new life, new opportunities. So it's an Einstein quote. I'm sure all of you know this quote, but let me just not botch it and read it to you in its entirety. There are only 2 ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other is though everything is a miracle. And that is exactly why we're here, why this particular organization has come together, and many like yourselves across the world, is because somewhere inside of us, we know miracles happen every time, every day, every minute, because each moment truly is new. But we don't really experience that because we don't necessarily see it. We're evolutionarily stuck with accumulation of danger, accumulation of sorrow, accumulation of pain. So it's difficult to see the miracles, but we have to be reminded. We have to be reminded that that can happen. So as humans, we love milestones, holidays, birthdays, change of seasons. This change of season has come with a bang. There's so much chaos in the world. Turkey just had a 7-point earthquake in the city I was born. My family's safe, but not everybody was. People have lost their homes. The fires, there's so much, not just the United States elections, right? COVID. And how do we stand and take this opportunity of a new season to step into the next level of our own personal evolution? And that's, I believe, was what this talk is about. Are we going to choose that everything is a miracle? Are we going to live that life? And if we're going to live that life, how do we contribute to that becoming a greater source? So the first thing that I'm being shown is that I need to get a little more out of the way. So I'm going to ask you to join me, okay? I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to go deeper in and I'm going to step out. Okay. Yeah, I was going academic. All right. So how do we take advantage of this opportunity of a new month, a new season, a new political 4 years for this country, Corona, how many months we've been living this and it doesn't seem to be over. How do we, each and every one of us that are drawn to watch this video, to feel the vibration from the divine beings today? How do we live as each moment is a miracle? How do we walk that path and do it with love? Because ultimately, it's always about love, trust, and faith. I watched the movie Fatima, the new version of it this weekend, and I was just, again, so immersed in a 10-year-old's ability to have faith. She experienced, obviously, a huge miracle where Mother Mary came to her in the physical. She had two witnesses. And I think she said her last words, at the later end of her life, is she feels like she failed because she didn't bring love and peace to the world. But she did bring a huge miracle, faith, a little more trust for humanity. And the way to remember that each moment is a miracle is to remember that love, because that love is the essence of our Creator. It's the essence of Source. Father Thomas Keating says, what was it? How did he say that? Yes, all of us are God. We're not God exactly, but we are essence, dimensions, extensions of God through grace. I believe that's the quote. We are that extension through grace, and grace lives in our heart. And through our hearts, through the experience, my phone where the quote was, I'm so sorry, the experience of the love and the grace that we share. So we have come together in a digital era now due to the pandemic, and a little bit like Star Trek, everybody's connecting through a screen. We miss that physical affection, However, through this digital camera, that grace and that love can happen. The knowing of miracles can happen. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to ask all of you to do in a moment after you've observed me, or at least this body, is to watch me close my eyes, and I'm going to ask you to open your heart and experience what comes through me from the divine for you. Wow, powerful. And now I'm going to ask you to open your hearts and send it back to me. Wow, see? Now to everybody in this room, so to speak, the digital room, let's just bask in this moment. Nothing else exists. We are filled with grace. The divine is here, accessing our deeper experience of that love energy. And now let's send it out to the world. So I'm going to ask you to hold the experience, and maybe you can write it in the chat later or at the end if you have questions or you want to share what that was like for you. It's really that simple. So we get pulled out of that centered space because we get caught up with the news, we get caught up with our negativity. And what happens when we do that is we actually lose our soul strength. And we all do it. I'd love to sit here and tell you that I've never done that, or I still don't do that. That is my striving, But we're wired that way. So the first thing we have to do is have compassion for that. And the energy that I'm feeling has such a depth of compassion right now. Like my eyes are tearing up. And all you have to do is let yourself feel that. The goddess is here, so to speak. It's time again for what the Fatima experience was about, to bring that love, soothing, and comfort forward. And that's where the miracles live. The miracle is that given all of these, external issues, that this video is working so well today. The miracle is that we're all here, we're all healthy. And even if we're not as healthy as we want to be, there is a miracle in this divine energy that you're experiencing that can bring greater health. So I guess we're going there now. So if you may close your eyes, image the trees. Right now it's fall and we still have color around here anyway. So for those of you, depending on where you are, you may not have a fall season, but it's still fall. The time is different. Everything is different. So close your eyes and connect to the season. Know that this particular external milestone is an opportunity for the internal milestone. It's an opportunity for the next miracle, the next life. What do you want? What do we want? And I'm not saying who do we want to win the election, but more about what do you want? Is it health? Is it to experience love at this degree more often? Is it money? Is it more opportunity? What is it that you want that will allow you to be up higher for a new life? A new life doesn't always mean a new house. It can. It doesn't always mean a new car. It doesn't mean we lose 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds. We can always change our hair color. That one's easy. But a new life means an instant miracle, an instant opportunity. It's a change of season. I'm going to do this differently. So what does that mean? It means when we're triggered and we have an automatic, we all know what those are, to pause. Because when we have this high vibration in us, it's here now forever. You've all been given that blessing of this level of love experience in your bodies to be there forever. You just have to call upon it. So from that space, what do you want? And can you ask for it and let it go so that it can show up? You know, the divine doesn't really want us to beg, because the divine is like, you are God. This is your experience, to be that in manifest. So one of the ways that contemplatives do this, Buddhists do this, psychologists do this, is to go center. So as we're in this love space, find the thing you want to change. Find the thing that's like eating at you all the time. Yeah, okay, so we all have more than one. So pick whichever one shows up, okay? And look at that in your heart and feel it and see how that message shuts the heart down, puts the brain into that spin of, here we go again, here we go again, here it is, here. We can't have that in this space. So if you're in there and you're just looking at it, once we accept that that lives within us and it's okay, doesn't mean it's not painful. Then what we need to do is center into it and accept that it is there. A new life can only come from surrender and acceptance. A new life can only emerge, new opportunities can only emerge when we sit with and accept, I have this grief, I have this resentment, I have this pain. And then when we have that and we acknowledge that we have that, we can forgive it. Doesn't mean it's okay. We can forgive it and we can say, I'm letting it go. So whisper into your heart or out loud, because you're in your own space, I'm letting it go. The grace that has been given to me through me, I'm letting it go. I accept it's here. I'm letting it go. If I can't let it go, its acceptance will diminish its power. Now there's room for the miracles to show up. This is the first time since 6 o'clock this morning that the outside of my yard is not blowing. It is total stillness. It's unbelievable. Like the trees, I thought they were going to knock onto my roof while we were on this call. And it is stillness right now. The miracle, the evidence, the proof. I let you go, and in its stead, I welcome. I welcome change. I welcome a new way to do this. Now, I believe most of you are feeling that. So what does that mean? It means that we move it from theory, Buddhist ideology of acceptance, psychologist speaking with a client or a patient saying, if we don't accept where we are, we can't move on. the contemplative Christians, Keating, Merton, and more, speaking, centering, right? The centering prayer, going in, seeing it, understanding it, holding it. It's a part of us. It's a part of our life experience. We don't get to be one directional in life. The beauty of being here in this incarnation, as painful as it can be, is to awaken us, to bring us into an emergence that is brand new. So these external markers help us do that. Not so much a New Year's resolution. We know that almost never works. But opportunity as the seasons change for us to step into. We're stepping into winter. What is winter? Winter is solstice. It's quiet. Well, if you've been watching and hearing some of the education and teachings and lessons that have been coming through me, it's about the silence is the greatest ammunition. Solstice is the greatest time to quiet what's around us. So as things get really crazy around here next week, those of us that seek light, seek a consciousness that's higher, our job is that stillness of winter, because that's what brings the fruit of all the beautiful color and the fruit and the food, We get to do that, each and every one of us, because we are one and connected with that greater whole, and we don't always get to feel it. We don't always get to feel it because this meat body, as they say, as the mystics say, has its own agenda. But this whole concept of heaven on earth, or this whole concept of a new way of life, it's actually here. Because everything has a spiritual path and a destiny. And, what we're living now can look epic, in biblical proportions or sci-fi proportions or Tolkien proportions. It feels like, light and dark are in battle. And maybe that's exactly what it is. Our job is to trust that and be our highest self. Because when we can do that, others can do that automatically because we are of a collective. And it is that collective that helps us choose. We are either going to choose a life that doesn't believe in miracles at all, or we choose a life that sees miracles, and it's still out there. I never would have thought that. I thought for sure it was going to knock out the internet today, or it was going to interfere with sound. It's not moving. It's a miracle, but we have to see them. There's a miracle that I can feel all the energy coming towards me, and I know that you can feel the energy coming out of me towards you. The human condition is all of it. The human condition is the suffering, the anger, the rage, the hurt, the betrayal, the joy, the faith, the beauty, the beloved. We're a multifaceted diamond. And depending on which way we turn those facets, how the light shines. And sometimes it's dimmer, but we get to turn that. And the best way to turn that is go into acceptance of what is. Doesn't mean it's okay for it to be there forever. Acceptance of what is means this is how it is. Probably couldn't have been any other way, even though I see all of these opportunities that could have, should have, would have. It is right here what it is. And from here, I can step out. So we let go of that battle and we go into honoring our life experience. And it is that honor that allows us to have new opportunities and a new life. People physically look different when they embark on this level of the journey. There's an instant change in how we look. There's an instant change of the energy. Suffering, illness energy is very low vibration, and it actually becomes extremely selfish. Because when all we want is to feel better, we can't think of anyone else. So the heart shuts down, it goes inward, and it goes into discomfort. And the beautiful guides today are saying, let that go, accept. Even in the acceptance, we can have a higher vibration. And from there, illness, disease, or at least how it's affecting us can shift a little bit. And from there, the next step will be guided. When we're in open acceptance, We're guided to what's best for us. We're guided to what's in our highest good. So what are we going to choose? Are we going to use the opportunity of stepping into winter, a new president, or not, however that turns out, how we move through this pandemic? Are we going to choose our winter? Are we going to choose this new season as a new chapter, new opportunity, and a new life? And all that requires is honoring any pain or suffering that we have, accepting it's there, and allowing the vibration from today to move through so that we can step through. But most importantly, it steps us up. So if you could close your eyes and just find in your center, in your core, any resistance to today, anything that's showing itself. And I'm going to ask you to hold it like you would hold a buried treasure. And hold it up to your heart and just look at it. And for some of you, it may be many, many years it's been there. For some of you, it's new. Is it a fear? Is it a resentment? Is it defining you in any way? And just hold it in front of your heart like this. I had the opportunity, keep holding it. I had the opportunity to meet the head abbot of monastery in Trinidad, Mount St. Benedict, top of the mountain. Oh my God, he was so beautiful. You know, they're all in their white robes and we're talking and he's like, you know why monks always go up? It's quieter up here, you know, we're always building on a mountain. But he was talking about getting quiet. And his whole body changed and he ended up this beautiful smile. We're sitting, you know, across from each other, very close. And he goes, when I get quiet, I can hear the whispers of my heart. And it's so funny because those same words came out of my mouth at the same time, because it doesn't matter what religion, it doesn't matter what you practice. When we go quiet into our heart, we hear the whispers. We hear the heart singing. And then, of course, we both laughed and we giggled and it was just beautiful. And I stopped interrupting and I let him continue. But he talked about how it's those whispers that are guiding him to his own truth and how he can help others. And that's been my ask, to help more, to help greater, to bring a healing that happens like that, you know. This new evolution needs to be with just a thought, a consciousness. We don't have to hold for so long anymore. So Father John and all of the other great mystics of the world, bring them into your being and have them look with you at what you're holding. And have them help you accept it's part of your life journey, but it doesn't have to own you. And see in that acceptance if you can be gentler, kinder to that. Take a moment and have a conversation. Now you can let it go and let it settle back into you, because you're not fighting it anymore. And when we stop fighting and we are in acceptance, we are centered and forgiving and letting go. It's now a portal for miracles. I encourage each and every one of you to find a miracle today. Other than it's so still out there, it's almost freaky cool. in the journey as a healer and a teacher and a mystic, I guess, I keep searching for higher ways to help heal, higher ways to release the heavy, higher ways to release blame and shame. And I feel like the divine beings helped us do that today. So I would like to end this by saying thank you for the love that we shared today. Thank you for the energy expansion that we shared today. Thank the divine guides for giving us whatever it is that we needed today. And remember to choose. Do you want a life that does not have miracles? Or are you going to believe in a life there's a miracle every day? Close your eyes, and I'd like to say a prayer and a blessing over all of you. Oh, thank you.